Welcome back to Show and Tell with BTL. I'm still Will.
And I'm Andrew. Good morning.
And through the magic of television, we now have Associate Professor of Drama in Theater Arts.
Yes.
Mr. Hugh Long.
Thank you.
Good
morning.
to see you, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Glad to have you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Wonderful. So you've got this incredibly important project that you've been working on for a long time?
Actually, it's been several years in the
Yeah.
making, about 6 years to be bluntly honest. There's a playwright that I met named Crystal Skillman. I produced her play Geek back in 2017, so 6 years ago at the Alabama Center for the Arts. And after meeting her, bringing her down here, she kind of became a good friend, sort of like a sister to me at this point. And we kept a close relationship. And I always knew at some point I might want to develop a new work. And while she was here, she had gone to the Space Rocket Center and was blown away about the history of Huntsville, which, to be honest, is something a lot of us who aren't from Huntsville originally, when we come here, we all of a sudden go, wait, what happened here? And it's sort of this learning about how the Marshall Space Center was developed and how rocket how rocket scientists became so important, instrumental to the development of North Alabama, that she sort of fell in love with the story and began to research. At the same time, I talked to my foundation at the Alabama Center for the Arts, and in a collaboration with Athens State University, Calhoun Community College, and the Alabama Center for the Arts, they agreed to commission a play from her. And this play is The Rocket Men.
The Rocket Men.
Which is specifically a play we wanted to talk about. She was so enamored by von Braun, but the truth is, von Braun didn't do it all. Yes, we have his name all over the place. Yes, he was instrumental in University of Alabama, Huntsville. We have the center downtown, but he didn't do it by himself. There were a lot of men with him. And the purpose of this play was to explore how these individuals, these scientists from Germany, were brought over in 1945 after World War II by the U.S. government to develop a rocket science program here.
So this is very factual, based on history. And in getting into history, did you find different versions of what the accounts were?
Well, Crystal in her research found a lot of different accounts. And the truth of the matter is that if you go earlier, the accounts are very bland. There's not a lot of information there. They're just sort of encyclopedia entries. It's not until the last 10 years where all of a sudden more of the information has come out as people have really delved into the history of it. And you get a bias depending upon who has their agenda. For us, and our purpose of this was really to create a theatricalized exploration of history. In this particular play, we have an audience that comes in and we sort of transform them into a space of time where it's set in the future, where the audience is basically preparing to go to Mars. And the show that's going to appear before them is sort of the equivalent of when you go to Disneyland or Disney World and you're waiting for your ride and you have that infotainment that appears where it's sort of a video of Walt Disney telling you how the park was built and how it was all created. Well, for us, our infotainment is our actors coming out and talking about how we got from originally just shooting rockets up into the sky to then getting to the moon, and now in the sort of the creation of our play, we're planning on going to Mars.
Okay, so it's sort of like you brought Dr. Werner von Braun back from the dead, and now he's going to get everybody to Mars.
Yes,
Oh,
and he's going to come out and tell us and explain to us how this got here. But it's not just about him. It's also about the scientists that he brought over with him, Rudolph, Rees, Dannenberg, Mrazek, but not just those original scientists that came with him in 1945, but also he had a gentleman by the name of Heinz Hermann Kohl, who was a Luftwaffe pilot who was a prisoner of war during World War II. He then, after the war, he went back to Germany and restarted the rocket program that von Braun had been part of. And he couldn't build rockets. So he got in touch with von Braun, and he actually worked with von Braun on von Braun's book called Project Mars, a technical tale that was actually a science fiction novel about going to Mars. Think about Jules Verne. It was sort of along those lines. And Kohl helped him out, and he eventually brought Kohl over. He was the next wave of German scientists that von Braun brought over here. And so we sort of learn about von Braun and his rocket team through the eyes of Kohl, who is a newly arrived immigrant from Germany coming into what has already been started here in Huntsville, and sort of understanding and getting excited about the program, but then watching as von Braun has to navigate the politics of America and the politics of military science and progress. And eventually we go through the creation of NASA, we go through the beginning of sending sending the rockets up to space, first as satellites, but then of course planning the lunar orbit rendezvous and planning on getting to the moon itself. And to some extent this changes Kohl's dream. dream and what he originally wanted. And so the question becomes, does he continue with von Braun's dream and von Braun's manipulation to make things happen, sell it, as it were, or does he stay true to his morality? And so the questions really come about is, how do we as human beings go towards progress? Do we embrace progress in all its forms, or do we have to consider who gets hurt and who might be affected by our attempts at a dream, such as getting to space?
Did you just give me the mission statement or the purpose of why this work was written?
To some extent, yes.
Okay.
And really, it was about us trying to explain North Alabama and celebrate North Alabama. The truth of the matter is that this is an amazing place. And I told everyone after I moved here, this is the best kept secret in the country. This is an amazing community that we have here and a world here. But the problem is, not everyone knows about it. So this is my little humble attempt at helping a playwright express their excitement about North Alabama and to share it with our community. And I know that my student actors and my community actors were blown away by this, because some of them never even knew this growing up.
And this is all coming to fruition, and you're opening very soon, aren't you?
Oh yes, we open
This
up
weekend.
next weekend.
Oh, next
It's going to be
weekend,
the 20th.
That'll be this weekend.
This
Yes.
weekend. Oh. Sorry, I'm bad with dates.
Space-time continuum here as well.
Thank you. That helps, because time is just a construct according to von Braun.
The flux capacitor's in the back.
I love it.
So, people that want, how do people get tickets to this?
Well, if you go to the website for the Alabama Center for the Arts, click on calendar, you'll see our events, and our website's right there, along with our image for our poster, and you can click on tickets and buy them there.
Okay, and there'll probably be a giant thing of your poster on the screen right now, too.
Oh, that'd be great.
And I hope that some great dignitaries and people from the space program will come in and experience this.
We're looking forward to that. We've actually reached out to von Braun's daughter, so we're hoping that she'll come from Georgia to see it. We've also reached out to several of the German descendants here in the area. We've talked to the observatory. It's kind of an excitement. This really is just the beginning. This is the first world premiere of a presentation of this particular play. What I'm really excited about is not just what we're going to create this week. What I'm really excited about is what the future will be for this play later on, and knowing that it started here. Kind of like the rocket program.
Absolutely.
I am super excited to see this, and I'll be at one of the shows.
Fantastic.
I've got to tell a Von Braun story.
Everyone has those around here.
So, we had a show called The Magicians, or something like that, several years ago, with Dan Sperry, a world famous magician, comes in.
The illusionists.
The Illusionist, yes.
There you go.
And I have to go around and do some interviews and stuff with him, so I'm going to babysitting him. And I said, what do you want to do while you're here? He said, I want to go see Warner von Braun's house. I'm like, okay. So, and that house had sat empty for years. And the people had just bought it, so he just walked up to the door, and they gave him a tour of the house. So,
Well, they're true Southerners.
They are.
They probably gave them a
And then
glass of
I
sweet
have-
tea, and they sat on the front porch.
and then I knew a lot of the history behind Operation Paperclip and everything, which is their thing during the war to get them over here. So we had a great talk with just a random person not from here, but he was all into it. So.
That, it's funny, you said something about the secret that this is. I mean, this region, this area, the people for hundreds of years, there are a lot of great stories and a lot of great things that come out of North Alabama that many, many people don't know and realize. And we talk about that a lot here on this show.
So I hate to be the bad guy, but the other guy with the beard behind the camera there, awesome beard, by the way,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
is telling us we have to go to break. So, Rocket Men, April 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And we will
Great pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
we
much.
will see you at the show.
There we go.